My name is Scott Paul. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Woolly, located in this building right here called The Kiln in Lehigh. It's a co-working space. And what Woolly does is we set out to help brands work better with their customers. And initially that meant helping the brands connect with their customers and do ambassador programs, especially for the product companies out there. That the specific one is Purple Mattress, right? It's a new mattress company. And they had a lot of people who really loved the mattress and wanted to talk about it, so we helped them do that. But now, the next phase of Woolly is connecting with your customers and then turning them into a point of sale. So Purple can, in the future, use the people who love the mattress and actually they can become, I hate to use this word, but micro affiliates or referrers, point of sale, salespeople, show floor, all these words. But we don't necessarily create an MLM or even a paid model. We just try to map word of mouth marketing. It's already happening today. Everyone's doing word of mouth. We buy because we hear stuff from friends and family, and we're just trying to make a digital app that allows people to do commerce in the same way that they're learning about products.
Gotcha. So you would consider yourself, so you're just based on your what I literally know about you on LinkedIn, it seems like you're like kind of a startup guy. Is that inaccurate?
Yeah, it's not my title on LinkedIn, but it's about as accurate as some like a word you could use for startup guy. I've done about 7 of them in the last 10 years, and then I've invested in about 55 startups. So in every way, startup guy. That's where I.
Awesome.
Well, the domain I live in.
Well, let's get into that because I'm on my first startup, I guess you could say. So I'm on my way to being a startup guy. So to people who are on their way to being startup guys or want to be one, what advice would you give to them?
Well, there's nothing that really defines. There's no like threshold that you have to get to do a startup. Meaning, it's the advice would be like, don't sit around and like think you have to quit your day job or take grandma's money to go buy inventory for your first idea. Like, you can actually start at any time doing that first startup. So really everybody in a way is a day away from being a startup guy, girl, person, because the barrier of entry is almost zero now.
So, so let's just take it into, if you had to start over tomorrow, you get this great idea that you think is going to revolutionize the world. You have little to no money. It's a new day. It's just you. Maybe you have some friends. Like, what are you doing? What's like day one? What's week one look like?
That's a great analogy, because I think sometimes like, let's burn everything I have in my resources, right? Because I've been successful enough to have like a little bit of a stockpile to go and put my own cash towards ideas that I have. But not a lot of people have that or the time. So I have done that thought experiment. What if I burn everything to the ground and I have absolutely zero? What does one have to actually take that first step? And I would say that there are like one would be LinkedIn. If you can type and you have a voice, you have something to say, like there's ways to go create on Medium, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. You can start storytelling what that idea is. What's in your brain? What do you think? Like, become a thought leader around that thing. So if you have this idea of building an air conditioning unit that's 3 times more effective than what's out in the market right now because of your engineering background, go prove it. Go out in every little way. Now, there's some issues with like declaring to the world maybe IP or things that you don't want people to steal. That is much less of an issue than people think it is. Most people don't give a crap what you're doing or your idea. They care about once you're making money, then they'll copy you.
All right.
But if that's you got this air conditioning unit, you think it's going to work, you have this electric 3-wheeler that your kids can use to get to school on instead of a bike that's heated or something. That's what I want to do. And like, why can't my kids that are 13 get themselves to school on a covered vehicle? They could ride their bikes. Why can't they do an electric bike that's covered, right? So I think about all these things. The best place to start is a piece of paper and a pen. I mean, that's it. That's all you need. And then you go out and you convey your vision to as many people as you can, and be willing to kill your baby, your ugly baby that's ugly. Like, go to the next one.
Yeah. So I guess the biggest thing that I guess I struggle with, I'm sure other people do too, is being from my generation, is we want it now. We want it tomorrow. We don't want to wait. We don't want to wait a year. We don't want to put in the hard, painstaking work and have this go on for a decade and then see results. We want to put our idea out, maybe go through 3 revisions, and be the next Zuckerberg, right? So, what advice would you give to us on kind of a timeline? Do you think you're gonna hinder yourself if you give a timeline like, hey, I need to get X done in 2 weeks?
No, I think that's probably the best way to do it. Millennials have that. That's like a double-edged sword. The impatient, that impatience actually hopefully can speed things along, and also find the inefficiencies in like the current landscape of products and services in the world, right? So your millennials' impatience is what's going to produce all the next great things. Is that we want it here and now? Why? 5 years ago, it was actually kind of hard to get my phone out and get food to my mouth without any effort. It isn't right now. Everyone knows DoorDash and Uber Eats and Postmates, right? That sure as hell wasn't created by a 50-year-old. I mean, I don't want to be ageist here, but it took the impatient millennials to why can't I get food to my mouth, to the click of a button? And they made that. So did they do that over 5 years, 10 years? Usually there's a story there of some other suffering they did at another day job, working at Twitter or working somewhere. So they had done their I think their work a lot of those founders did some work somewhere else and had some knowledge of how to actually build a scaled network marketplace like a DoorDash.
Right.
I don't know the specific stories, but I'm just guessing. Usually they come from a tangential industry or company. But you need to be fast, but you need to be patient. My timeline is I've been doing this since I was in high school, and I didn't taste success until I was 30. So that's different than my friend who in college made his first startup, Scan, which sold to Snapchat. Now he runs around bucket listing with his family, making content in any part of the world he wants to go. So you can find stories of people that do it at their first go, and then there's more common than not, people that are seeing it like at bats at a baseball, and their batting average is in the 200s, right?
Right. How would you know that you're getting traction on the typical idea? You think it's great, you give it to 5 or 10 of your friends, they think it's great, you test with a few customers, it seems to be going good. When do you know that you're hey, I'm really onto something?
You
just intuition?
You just feel it, yeah. Yeah, it's one of my companies, it was the literal demand of customers asking for this product. I made iPad cases that were made out of metal for people to use in business settings and point of sale. And I made a website called iPad Enclosures, put it up on the website, and started manufacturing these things. And the demand was it was obvious. There was people all over the country that were finding it through search, and all over the world. And so I'm up late talking to people in Dubai, up early in Germany, just trying to figure out what does everybody want, what are they looking for, and I had to just keep up with demand. So I mean, there are those situations where product market fit just is obvious, and you've got something, and you just have to then do the hard part, which is get your operations and your margins just grow with that demand. Mm-hmm. Those are very uncommon. I would call that the 10%, where it's just so obvious. But even when it's not obvious, you'll kind of know because you'll understand that it's resonating with even a small group of customers, that they're either would be pissed if you disappeared. That's a big one. If you went away, would you have unhappy customers, or would they just kind of find it a substitutive thing?
When Facebook stopped working, right? The internet was going nuts.
Yeah, although I still think all the social media can burn to the ground. We'd be a better place because of it. So I actually am pretty anti-social media. It's the one product that is worth billions and billions, but if it disappeared tomorrow, I don't know if
people might be happier.
I think overall, mental health and everything else will climb significantly in a positive. So you'll just kind of feel it, and then probably the biggest indicators are people willing to pay? I mean, if you're making $1 or $2, then you just have to kind of figure out, can I acquire new customers, and will the lifetime value of that customer be greater than like the cost of acquisition, right? And can you keep doing that?
Awesome.
So there's no formula. You'll just know, because you'll be able to keep doing it. The one time, if you don't have it, this is when you need to realize when to shut it down. So if you're impatient, and you're at it again, and you're just not feeling it, life's too short to like try to solve a mediocre problem that takes like 5 years to solve. I've seen so many entrepreneurs stuck on the same thing. I'll follow up with them 5 years later, like, oh, I'm still trying to figure out. Like, there's no users, there's no affinity for that thing they're doing.
Gotcha.
Shut it down. Although I just listened to the Wright brothers talk about the biography, the book they have, and like, you're glad that some people in the old, back before internets and anything, stuck with a problem for a long time because they made their tenacity.
Yeah, it's a dichotomy,
Yeah.
When do you back away? Well, cool. Well, I want to jump into a new topic of the podcast. I got some questions online of what they really want to know about business owners and startup guys. So the first question here is, what was the turning? So going to your company, Woolly here, what was the turning point when you just went from just getting by to a thriving business?
Well, I think Woolly's probably the wrong example because we're venture backed and we're not thriving in the sense of like, so when certain technology companies, you're making a bet along with other people's money that you'll be able to acquire this market share of a kind of a new thing. So Woolly's not there, but other companies that were self-funded, like where I had to use my own cash and use every like unit sold to like try to reorder new units.
Yeah, when you're living dollar to dollar.
You're dollar to dollar. The moment I knew, like, I think the question was what again? Like, when did you know you'd?
Yeah.
The turning point.
Yep, the turning point
is probably when you're able to pay yourself. Straight up. If you're able to like take out something for yourself and still grow the business, that's business. That's really like the turning point at any company to me, is like, can you pay yourself a wage and still have leftovers to invest in the business? Or can you pay that additional person, that one employee beyond yourself? My first business, actually, most of my businesses, I paid other people first, way before. I think I was at like 12 people before I started taking a paycheck for Armor Active or that iPad company.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily indicate thriving. I think thriving is when you're able to pay yourself what you deserve, what you're worth. Which is, I never actually got there with my first company. It was sold. Someone bought it way before I ever paid myself, my post MBA market rate.
So the exit was your.
The exit was my
your pay.
Thrive. Yeah, that was my payday, and it was a good one. I mean, in the sense that it was a multiplier of what the business was, currently worth, and it was life-changing for my wife and I. But I didn't plan on that. It just happened, luckily, because we built a great business. So even that's a good example. Is we didn't appear thriving. I mean, we were just growing, getting by, but we were building value for that was noticed by another company that could really help them. So they came and offered us to buy it, and so the thriving was they bought us possibly when we were still underground, growing a root system.
Sure.
And we weren't in that blossoming stage, but they're still,
They were making a bet in a way.
They were making a bet, and it was good for them, good for us. Otherwise, the deal wouldn't have gone through. They would have paid a lot more had we sprouted and we're just cranking out the dollars and sales and stuff.
You get in that early valuation stage.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll bounce to the next one here. So as you being a founder of multiple companies and an angel investor in other companies as well, what habits do you think are most needed to run a business? And also one trait you think is most important?
As far as habits, I pretty much throw that out. I'm very different than a lot of the people. If people make listicles and Gary Vee will say this and that, like, learn to know that like everyone has an opinion on all that stuff. So habits, if there's any habit that I think is kind of important, it's and by the way, like I just take what I just said, nothing really is it's all opinion. So habits I've seen everything from someone says you got to do this, and then I see the opposite work for someone else. So don't take everything with a grain of salt. But if there is a habit that I think is wise, if you have an idea and you're embodying this startup idea that you have, you're like, it's many times a band of one, and you are the missionary. You are the nucleus in which that idea is going to spread. And if you yourself don't find ways to just get one-to-one sharing of that belief you have and what you're wanting to do, then you're like missing the most potent like ability to acquire a new customer, a new believer. So the habit I would say is like, don't eat alone at lunch. Don't go throughout a day without like meeting new people. Doesn't mean you have to be an extrovert. Actually, some of the best people I know doing this are actually introverted. It's a little harder for them. Mm-hmm. But when you have something, an idea, or a company, or something you're trying to get across, you want to just be signaling and sharing and pushing out frequency of like, this is me, this is what I'm doing, and you got to share it, and you got to be receptive too. You can't just be like one band. You got to be incoming too. You got to hear what other people are doing who will shape that idea, and you can listen to them and shape their ideas. But you won't find my schedule. I mean, I could show you right now today. I have 14 meetings. Second podcast in one day. Why? Because if someone asks me to be on a podcast, that is a chance for my signal
to get out even
to
further.
Go out. Yeah.
Because I want to post this on my Instagram, my LinkedIn.
Don't know where it'll go, but I know that it's not going to go into an empty vault and never happen. And it doesn't even matter if you were recording or not, because this is a one-to-one, right? So you didn't have to be even filming. This is greater right now. My company's out getting me some ramen. I could have been with them. But no matter what, today at 12 o'clock, I wasn't going to meet alone. I wasn't going to eat alone or meet and be by myself. There are some times where you got to do deep work and get into the groove. But for me, because I'm the nucleus of this new idea that we're trying to do, and I'm trying to compete with Amazon. If you see this, Amazon, yes, it's real. I can't sit around and go after the biggest company in the world and not like be knocking on every door, turning over every rock, and telling and screaming from every rooftop how I'm going to do it, why I'm going to do it, why you should become a follower of this idea. We're calling it C-commerce, specifically customer commerce. That's the habit. That was a very long-winded answer.
Yeah, well, the thing I got from it is the habit, and then the second one is like the most important trait is probably communication and the ability, if you're not a good communicator, to get over that fear and to get outside your comfort zone and to make sure that the message that you believe is communicated to others.
Communicated, yeah, that's a good trait. The other one is just you can't let fear. You've got to overcome fear of rejection and inability to like create or move forward. Some people are so worried about this or that or this or that, and I just can't worry. I can't worry what one person thinks. I just did a pitch to an investor right before I came. That's why I was late. And right after, I thought we did really well. I'm like, dang, that was pretty good. It's like kind of our first one. We're about to go do a 50 in all over New York, San Francisco, LA. And this was like our practice one with a local investor. I thought I did so good. And then right after, he's like, you just kind of see in his face, like there's so much. He's like, you gotta do this, this, and this. It was like it was like crap. Like what we thought was great. Like he's telling me right off the bat, like let's change some stuff so we can get you, and it's just like I could like sit and stew on that. I won't think about it again, other than positively. I'll go ask him. Like I asked him right away, what can I do? What can I do? So I'm gonna meet with him again. Like what can I do better? I did a client meeting last week, and we talked. We had all of our clients come in for luncheon. Woolly clients, great brands here locally. When you name the brand, they're probably here because it was a good group of marketers that have they're part of brand companies here in town. And one of them, like straight up, texted me saying like your story's all over the place. Just it was kind of a rude thing to do. Like I couldn't believe he took the risk to like go tell the CEO of this company that my presentation sucked. Well, all the other people actually saying good things about it.
Yeah.
And I could have like gone, you're an idiot, whatever, or like, that's not true. I don't care. In fact, I turned that in to, I'm like, really? I need to know why, because I got to do this better. Like, can you come in and tell me more? So now I've got this guy who's a CMO of a local company coming to meet here today to help us build our story so it would resonate with him more. Oh, I'm going to sell him. I'm going to get him. I could have reacted. I could have cared what that guy thought and like got into it and like
Got
let
a
it
Twitter
bring me
war
down.
with him.
Yeah, or whatever it is, a direct on my investments. But instead, I'm like, you can't care. A trade, you cannot. I shouldn't say not care, but you can't like let these little things, wins and losses. You can't think about them too much.
Sure.
So
That's good. We'll go bouncing right to the next one here. What were your biggest failures? Did you have times where you almost threw in the towel? And would you be as successful as you are now without your failures?
yeah, no, I have a whole speech I do on failures because I think that they are. I looked at the timeline of everything I'd done, and every year every other year was a failure, and every other year was a success. Meaning, going back to 2007, or 6 even, to today, I can actually show you the pendulum of failure to success in my life. Because I start something new almost every year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the failures that begat the successes, and the successes that like inspire the next failure. And it's just a cycle. It's like spring and fall, summer, winter. It doesn't, like, I don't even hear the word I hear failure and I'm like, awesome. Like, fail more, or you failed, like, oh cool, how many failed like notches do you have? Because that just means to me like they're leveled up in ways that very few people are.
Sure.
So not a stigma at all to me. Failures, go embrace it. I've had massive, I can sit and talk about failure after failure because I've failed. Even in my personal investing in startups, it's the epitome of failure. I've wrote 60 different checks to startups, ranging from $5,000 to $250,000, right? And angel dollars. Only 5% of them will not fail, probably, or will return in a multiple of my investment. 20 of them are gone already.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of them are like sitting there like, should we live or not? And then there's like maybe 10 that are, okay, this could be the one. So
when you're cutting those checks, would you say 50?
Yeah, at least.
So when you wrote over 50 checks ranging from 5,000 to 250,000, what stood out to you about those companies or about that CEO, or about what was it about that company that you were like, I'm going to cut this check?
Usually it's the personality of the CEO, like, have they done it? How did they get to the point they're at now? Do I see myself in them? Can I resonate? Do they resonate? Like, are they the right type of person to get it to the next stage? I was really bad at this actually in the very beginning and got better at it over time. So like my first 30 companies are different than the last 20, right? There's a little bit of the industry, like I don't know medical, I don't know certain companies, so I don't invest in those. So it has to be an industry I understand. So it's it's understandable to me so I could weigh in and help if needed. But mostly it was basically the thing they're telling me, could I envision in my brain actually existing in the world and being used and liked by like myself, family, friends? Like, could I see that thing that they were talking about actually becoming real?
Mm-hmm.
And if I can run that future analysis, and that's what I do like all the time, that's where I live. My brain is always trying to like be 3 years in the future to kind of like hone in like what we're building at Woolly, who I should be investing in, where are trends going.
Sure.
So if I can do that and I'm like listening to their idea and I'm like, yeah, we will one day be doing just that. Well, that's how, of course, that we're gonna be able to rent storage, units from each other, like this one company, Neighbor, locally, where they do this like storage thing. Like, well, of course, like we're doing it with homes. Why won't the next step be like, let me rent out some storage? Yeah. Of course. And that's really all it took or Homey, same thing. It's like, I know you're Keller Williams and that's a bad word. Did I just swear?
No, I'm trying to get the two co-founders. I've DM'd them. If you guys are listening, get on the podcast. So I really want to talk to them.
Texting him this morning, so if you need to talk to Johnny, I can.
Yes.
Or Mike. I can
yeah, please let them know, because I'm a big fan of disruptors, and I don't really hate what they're doing. I actually like the whole real estate world. I think you need the expertise of the agent, but the whole all the paperwork and stuff you have to go along with it, like that can go to the wayside. Like if I can have my phone and just say, sell my house, I want the pictures done tomorrow, I want to go live on Friday. If I can do that all from my phone within about 5 minutes, like, why can't we do that?
So what? You said why can't we do that? That's the basics of all my investment decisions. What I decide to chase, what I talk about people all day is why can't we do this? That's all the startup world is.
Yeah.
It's just asking why can't I do that? And if that why can't I resonates with me, or if I actually do it, because someone could say, why can't I hold 2 phones at a time and play a game while slacking? I'm like, no, that's not that's not something that doesn't speak to me.
Mm-hmm.
You can go solve that on your, you go make a hardware company that tries to solve multitasking phone, whatever. Not me.
Sure.
But if someone says, like Johnny did before he even had Homey, I sat down before the thing was named in a Harmon's Deli, and they told me, why is real estate agent still taking this 5% or 30, whatever it was?
Yeah, it's the 6% normal.
And he just sat there and he was pissed off because I think he was trying to buy a home. And I'm like, I've thought the same thing. Why can't I just click a button? Why can't I just do my own thing? And why isn't there a network to exist of a way to circumvent this essentially instilled legacy system of the realtor, whatever that thing is? Like,
yeah.
no.
I think if you got like a high-end home or a very unique, hard to sell home, that's when like an agent's value is. But I mean, if you have like a 4-bed, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot house in West Valley, that's like the same as every other house.
Almost a commodity. Should just be transacted like a car would.
That's like a perfect homey house. But if you have like one of those weird houses like up here on the bench that's like only maybe a certain, like the 1% of 1% is going to buy, it's like that's when an agent, like he knows the network, he knows how to market it, like that's when that would come into play.
But that's where the biggest opportunity I think is for a homey.
Why?
Why? Because I live up in Heber, and the neighbor just sold his house, and he posted on LinkedIn about it. He sold his maybe $1.4 million house. He showed the fees that the buyer agent, one of those things got, and they showed the homey fees. He saved hundreds of thousands of dollars because he used homey. It was right there on the closing docs. I think the higher the price, because the work that the people do, to me, doesn't scale. And when you're selling a $20 million home or a $10 million home or $12 million, whatever it is, to a $200,000 home.
In my opinion, it's almost the opposite. Like the less expensive usually is like the most work required. Because
it is.
It's like your first time home buyer, your first seller, like people don't have their paperwork ready. It's like it's like a nightmare. But you sell kind of a higher end home, you're dealing with like a higher end clientele. They have like all their tax returns, like everything's ready to go. It's a super smooth transaction.
I agree with you.
So it's almost like the higher you go up on the pay scale, it's like the easier it kind of gets versus like those first time people, like that's like a nightmare.
Yeah, I know. That's the way it is in most sales too. Like the bigger clients are usually easiest versus the little ones. So yeah, the fact that homey's resonating with those, with the let's call it the West Valley, track home, I think it just starts to go up. I think it'll continue to go upscale a little bit more. But it doesn't mean that there's no agent. I still want someone with a network.
Yeah, Gary Vee calls it 3.5 base, right? He wants to be automated all the way to 3.5 base, and then talk to person. Hey, is this a good idea? Anything else I'm missing?
Yeah, and
get a human thumbs up.
And I want that person to do well. I want that person to make a good chunk if he's going to move my house.
Yeah.
There's Blaine. He runs a company over there. So that's that. Why can't? Just going back to the why can't we? Why can't I? Why can't I do this? That should be like. I need to change my pitch deck now that I think about that. That should be the first thing I say. Why can't we? Why can't I buy?
Just stop right there. Why can't we?
Why can't we do that?
Should be a.
Why can't we? Blank.
Yeah.
Go answer that for your next idea. It's a good one.
Perfect. That's a good one. That's a great way to end it. If you just want to let the people know, kind of end it. So I guess this podcast is more directed towards people who are maybe getting their start out in business. So if you want to leave them with anything like, hey, we're about to start a business, what's the one thing that these people should be focusing on?
Well, it's just this has been resonating with people that I talk to, and it's because it's kind of where most people find themselves is that they have a day job. And that day job is hopefully paying you anywhere from $40,000 to $400,000. And I don't know what your lifestyle's like out there, what you do, but don't cold turkey quit your day job to go do your startup. I've never done that. I never would. Use your day job as your seed investor. So take that paycheck that you get and carve off enough of it so that you can get $10K in the bank, and then kind of still have that. And with that $10K, it's enough to pretty much do anything. Like, you can get the website, you can buy ads, you can get your first run of inventory, you can build a little web app. Like, it's enough to test anything, even too much in some cases. And maybe for some people, they can get up to 20K, 30K. Find a way to use your day job as your seed investor. Don't go to me and ask for money, because I won't give you money. If you, no one's gonna pay you to quit your day job and go figure out something. No one's gonna pay you to do that. They're gonna want to see that you did it first.
They want to see
side
adversity.
hustle, you went out at night and you went out and figured it out. Maybe you got a team together. You guys met at the coffee house. You met at someone's basement. You hacked together. Something. And you look at all the great founders. It's very common that this was how it was done. They worked at a bigger company and side hustled, and so really see that day job as your seed investor, your first one, and start. And if you do that and you start putting some money aside, and everyone can do that. I don't care what you think. You can put a little bit of money aside to buy your first URL and GoDaddy. You can start tomorrow. So if it's your ambitions to do it, start tomorrow. There's nothing stopping you, and start and use your seed, use your job, use yourself as your first investor.
Awesome.
So that's it.
So if the people want to get into a hold of you, what's the best way to reach you?
I'm a LinkedIn. That's my thing. Scott Paul should come up on LinkedIn. Can't miss me. That's how connect with me. Talk to me there. That's the best place.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I want to thank you for doing this. This is awesome.
Yeah. That's good.
And
Good luck.
take
Signing
care.
out.